So Tom, thanks for being here. From the response to Mitt Romney's Mormonism to Rick Santorum's comment on JFK's Houston speech and several other ways, religion has been quite a presence in the 2012 election cycle so far. How has that struck you?
I think it's really important to note that from Governor Perry's initial comments about the race, in which he was complaining about Obama's war on religion, to Rick Santorum's shift to talk about social issues, it's really been important, and especially his comments about the 1960 speech by JFK. Because for a lot of scholars, that's a really important event in the history of America's thinking about the relationship between church and state. And a lot of the issues have to do, on the one hand, with disagreements about church and state, and on the other, the deeper kind of theological problem. The first issue, really, with church-state issues, has to do with a difference between those, like Santorum, who believe that what we really need is freedom for religion, and those, like Kennedy, who are arguing for freedom from religion.
Does it strike you as more divisive now than it's been in the past? I mean, there's always been a certain, sort of tension between those things. Do you think that's really broken more into the open? Is that something we've seen before?
Religion's come up in lots of elections, and foreign visitors often comment about how religious America looks and its politics. It's certainly true in '60, it was true in 1976. I think what's really interesting about this particular case is there's two sets of issues, not just the church-state issues, but a deeper conflict about the extent and nature of evil in America. And there's a fundamental divide that I think folks on both sides don't really listen to carefully enough. Namely, a difference in how does evil manifest itself and how serious it is. On the one hand, you get those who think that evil is satanic forces, is demonic forces in the world. And Rick Santorum has said things in public about that Democrats have not taken evil seriously enough. On the other hand, for Obama and some kinds of Protestants of his ilk, evil really is a kind of social force. It's poor education, it's poverty, or it's something else. And if you think those two different ways about the origins of evil, you have very different solutions. And some of the passion and the intransience in the election conversation so far, and I think to come, is about the differences between two fundamental conflicting notions of what's wrong with America and the world today.
It's striking how, as much as we talk about whether issues or how serious elections are, to see that we could be having an election in which evil and the nature of evil is actually an issue.
I think it's absolutely true, and that's part of the dissent. What liberals fail to get, and even as much as evangelicals and others are trying to make that case, including Catholics like Santorum, is that they don't take seriously enough the conservative view about when life begins, about what the nature of the problems are, and they're not, social problems and programs can't really solve those problems. It's deeper, more fundamental. It goes to one extreme in some movements, like the Left Behind series, that suggests that Obama is the Antichrist. Nothing short of the demonic force that will play an important role in the end of history.
So this taps into much deeper, even cultural currents.
Much deeper cultural currents and long-standing religious divides. I think what's different and most disappointing to me is that no one's really listening to their opponents seriously or respectfully.
Do you expect to see this continue into the general election?
I think it's inevitable. Whether we get a Mormon Republican candidate, one of the two Catholics, or Ron Paul, who of course defines himself as an evangelical, but takes a Kennedy-like position on the relationship between church and state, religion's going to emerge as an important issue, especially if the conversation shifts from the economy and to the social issues.
And should Romney be the candidate, do you think it's inevitable that the issue of his Mormon faith emerges in some way?
I can't imagine how it could not emerge. I'm not sure that President Obama's staff will bring it up, but I can't imagine that evangelicals who are a little bit hesitant about his Mormon faith and reporters generally won't bring it up in some fundamental way. It happened with Kennedy, the first Catholic in 1960, and my hunch is that Romney's going to have to give a Houston-like speech to be elected president.
Tom, thanks very much.
Great.